Hey travelers! So today I'm going to show you how I use different sites to actually find trips on points and miles. So the first thing that I always do is go to Google Flights. I feel like that is the best place to start when you are searching. So the first thing I'm going to do is I typically search one ways when I'm looking for flights on points and miles. I'm thinking about heading to Turkey, and so I'm going to go ahead and type in that information. I'm considering heading there in August. And so I use this to get like that initial price. Also, because I have that points path extension, which you can see right now it's not showing, it's also going to give me information regarding like how many points and miles. Right now, it isn't showing that. I don't think that Turkish Airlines is on points path just yet. I think they're still adding airlines, so I'm not going to be able to see it here. But this is good information to know. I'm not going to look for this flight because of how long it is. I do like these two flights, and so I'm keeping that in mind. And then I'm scrolling down a little bit just to kind of glance at some of the other flights that could be options for me. One of the things I do is, now that I know that majority of the flights I need to look at are on Turkish Airlines, is I always open up some type of points transfer sheet. So I'm going to show you one of the ones that I find really useful. So this is on Daily Drop, and it's going to show you based on the different credit cards and partnerships where your points can transfer. And so you'll see at the top here that I'm able to transfer miles from Chase, American Express, Capital One, Bilt, and Citi. It just shows you where they transferring to. So if we go down to Turkish Airlines, it's going to show you that to get miles to Turkish, you need to have Capital One, Bilt, or Citi. I do have some Bilt points and a little bit of Capital One points. This would actually be a really good use of my Capital One points, so I can definitely consider that. But if you're like, I don't have any of those cards, Turkish Airlines is part of the Star Alliance, and so when I go up, I know that I can transfer to Air Canada, which will have some of those flights. So if you are considering, I don't have those cards, but you have Chase, American Express, then now you've opened it up because Air Canada will have some of Turkish Airlines flights on there. So that is super duper helpful. And I'll link this one in the description. So now that I know about that, and I've looked at my transfer partners, I know that I'm probably going to have to transfer to Air Canada unless I'm using Capital One, Bilt, or Citi. I'm going to look at transferring. So what I do first is I go to Point Me. Point Me has partnerships with both Amex and Bilt, and it gives you information about how many points a flight is. So this one is showing us American Express, and I've looked up the flight. I'm going to hit search again just so you can see what that looks like. And so you see the American Express, here's the airport and the same date. Now we're just waiting for it to load. Here we are scrolling down. And so this one is showing me I can take my points from here and transfer it to Air Canada and book this flight for 40K points. It only has one stop, so these are very similar to the flights that I saw on Google Flights. I'm going to go back to the top and change it to business so we can also get an idea of how much the business flights were going to cost us. So they're about 70K miles, which is helpful to know. So if I want to fly business, that's how many miles it's going to cost me. This is American Express. So for American Express, we're going to transfer to Air Canada. Now let's look at Bilt, because Bilt also has a partnership with Point Me that is going to allow you to book flights or to get information about how to book the flights. So here I've typed in the information. I'm going to hit search flights, and now you can see it doing the search. And at the top you see now I'm under the Bilt one. Just give it a few seconds to load. Okay, so now I can see the flights. So we're seeing I can transfer to Air Canada again. All right, so let's head to that Air Canada site to check this out. I am just going to resume my last search since I've done the search. It just makes it a little bit quicker. And here on that Air Canada site, remember Air Canada, we're thinking Capital One, Amex, Bill, all those cards. We scroll down and we see those flights that we've been looking at this entire time for 40K miles and 80K Canadian in taxes. And then we also see that they do have a 70K mile one and 80K taxes. This is super helpful. And now we know the flights are on the site. And so if you wanted to transfer, you could. 70K miles in business, that to me is like a great deal. And so like I'm definitely starting to eye that business and really starting to think about like what are some things I need to be doing to make sure I can get those flights. But if you're thinking I want to transfer directly to Turkish, let's actually go to the Turkish airline site and look. So I'm going to go ahead and search here. And I had already done the search, so it's just popping up what I had already been doing. And you can see those same flights for 40K miles and then 65 in business, which is great. Even cheaper than Air Canada. And so remember that you could use your Capital One here, that city, and those built points to transfer directly to Turkish Airlines. And so this is really how I go about finding trips, using my points and miles, and really thinking of ways to make sure that I'm not using a ton of cash to book all of my travel. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or if you're like, hey, can you do some award travel looking for me? Let me know. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so let me know how this goes for you.